Before you ever think about putting on that blue, listen to me for 10 minutes. Before you tie a bandana, flash a sign, or say the name out loud, hear this. Because I wore that blue for almost 20 years, and I'm still paying for it. If you're new here, subscribe. I don't want to glorify this life. I want to stop one kid from making the same mistake I did. My name is Marcus. I grew up on 63rd in Normandy, right in the heart of South Central LA. We didn't have much. A little bungalow, a mother who worked double shifts, and a block of asphalt that taught you how to survive before you learned how to read. If you were raised around here in the late 80s and 90s, you learned two things fast: where to duck when the sirens came, and which color would keep you breathing. I was 12 when I first saw a Crip. He wasn't a man, he was a story. Blue bandana folded over his pocket, a low-rider idling, kids parting like the sea when he walked down the gutter. He had a way of moving that said nobody could touch him. That's what hooked me. It looked like power where there was none. Power over fear, over hunger, over a world that kept telling us we were nothing. By 14, I was hanging. By 15, I was putting in work. That's gangster language for things people on the outside don't want to hear. Some of it I won't say out loud. Names, addresses, the small mercies we took and left behind. But you should know the surface so you understand the depth. You get jumped in. 6 to 8 brothers come at you for about 30 seconds. You get beat up to be claimed. They call it earning your colors. You bleed together. You become family. They brand the color into your identity with a nickname, maybe a tattoo on your hand. It's a contract signed with a fist. The Crips of my area, not some movie gang, the real ragged, hungry ones, were a patchwork of sets, each with a corner, a liquor store, a church lot they called theirs. We defended those tiny kingdoms like they were empires. Across the street, the Reds, Bloods, lived and bled with the same sense of ownership. Compton, Watts, Inglewood, parts of Long Beach, all of them map out fights you can trace like old wounds. You join for different reasons. Some kids join because their fathers left, or because someone told them they were next if they didn't. Some join for protection. Some join because it's easier to be dangerous than to be poor. Me? I joined to belong. I wanted to be seen. The moment they wrapped the bandana around my head, the block saw me. I became somebody. When you're in, you learn the rules. Never snitch. Always answer a call from your set. Move product when ordered. And never ever show weakness. The code is simple and brutal. We called it loyalty. Maybe that's what kept us alive from day to day. But loyalty in the street is a double-edged sword. You don't own it. It owns you. The work escalates. What begins as petty theft and fights becomes protection money, drug corners, and sometimes worse. I remember the first time I watched a man drop because of us. He'd stepped on the wrong turf, or maybe he flinched at the wrong time. It's hard to remember the cause when the outcome is blood. We were kids holding grown-up weapons, trying to protect what was ours. We told ourselves the violence was surgical, necessary. There's a phrase we used: put them on the map. It meant to make a statement. We honored our dead with murals and candles, but the truth was we were manufacturing grief. There are moments that don't leave you. I have a night tattooed into my skull. I still wake up seeing it. We had intel someone from the Bloods was passing through near Florence and Compton Avenue. It was hot, the heat that makes everything smell metallic. We rolled up in an old Impala, 3 deep, all visible, blue flags out. You feel this surge like a wave when a fight is coming. Adrenaline is the drug that keeps you from thinking. My brother Darius, my real brother, not the gang kind, leaned across and told me to watch my right. I laughed in like a fool. We stopped the car. They were there. 2 guys under a flickering streetlight. I don't even remember now who moved first. What I remember is the sound. Gunfire, the metal bite of danger, the weight of a life being torn from the world in a second. One of our own went down, and for a moment, the sky got stupidly quiet. I dropped to my knees and saw the blood on the asphalt. It took months for the color not to haunt my meals. That's the thing. Death becomes calendar time. You count out your losses the way you used to count birthdays. Everybody's name becomes an echo that follows you down alleys. We cremate ourselves a little at a time. The funerals, the lockups, the late night calls from jail. It's exhausting. You start to count how many you've seen die before you turn 30. Too many. If you're not careful, the job picks your soul clean. I saw men I loved become shells. There was this kid Rico who could make you laugh until you cried. He used to hustle sneakers and dime bags with an easy grin. One night he got in a fight about a girl, something stupid and permanent. He was shot in front of a corner store. He sat in my lap bleeding, whispering my name like a prayer. That image of him, alive, then not, it stays with me. People talk about honor. I say we were addicted to the rush that comes right before the ruin. Prison is where most stories either end or get rewritten. I did 5 stints before I got clean time, short stretches, then back out again. The system eats you and spits you out unless you mutate to fit it. The day the judge threw the book at me, I had been on the run for too long. A buy gone wrong, a traffic stop, cuffs clicking like a sentence. I got time, but I didn't get the worst of it in prison. The worst of it happened outside. The alienation, the kids who died before their first real job, the moms who found their sons in bags. When I finally left the joint 5 years ago now, I imagined I was going to return to man. Growth is not automatic. They let me out on parole, but they didn't let me out of the past. The tattoos still read Crip across my knuckles. Try getting a job with that. Try explaining to HR that your youth was survival, not a resume. Everyone looks at you different. Landlords see the ink and deny you an apartment. Employers call and say they can't take the risk. The blue on your bandana turns into a noose around your future. Living here now, in a small apartment over a laundromat, I do the work most of us never do. I look back without pretending. I tell my younger cousin, you don't want this. He looks at me like every kid looks at the old soldier, part reverence, part dismissal. He's got that hunger in his eyes. He wants to be seen. He wants respect. I remember being him. I remember how easy it was to say yes to the wrong people, because yes gave you a route to the future you imagined. There's also fear. People think leaving a gang is a 5-step process. It's not. You dissociate, change your rhythm, maybe move cities. You take jobs when nobody knows you, but you always have to watch. Old enemies keep records. They keep grudges. Your tattoos are like a homing signal. I consider tattoo removal. It costs money. It's painful. It's worth the scars, I tell you now. But it's also a signal that you might be trying to vanish the past, and that makes some people angrier. I tried school. Community college, 2 nights a week. History classes that felt like therapy. Books were foreign. I read about Reconstruction, about movements, about how communities are shaped by policies and neglect. That's where the fault lines were, not just in us, but in systems that organized the permanent underclass. We weren't born criminals. We were made, shaped by economic deserts and hollow promises. Still, that realization doesn't absorb the kills, the robberies, the business extortion I was a part of. It only explains the soil in which the seed grew. There's practical stuff nobody tells you before you join a gang. You lose your family in slow ways. Holidays become tally marks. The child you father might not see you because you locked up or dead. Your mother learns to celebrate alone. Your siblings marry someone who runs from your name. You learn to be ashamed in secret and bravely defiant in public. The police consider you a constant threat. Employers blacklist you. And when age catches up, your muscles remember the rhythm of violence, and your heart remembers the funerals. I could tell you horror stories that would curl your hair. I have them. The time we evicted a family from a house and sold their TV for crack. The time we shook down the corner store owner, the look in his eyes as he counted the money we took. I could tell you about nights in East LA when we lit fires to make sure the neighbors felt us, that we were present. Those nights are not the heroic ones the movies show. They're ugly. They're full of remorse. I watched a girl I loved become collateral because she crossed the wrong street arm in arm with someone I disliked. She went away after that. Kids who once played basketball with us learn not to play after dark. But here's the thing that matters. The lives you think you're protecting, you ruin the most. The corner you call your own becomes a trap for the neighborhood's children. We marked turf with paint and called it identity. The real identity was a cycle of poverty and violence we fed and then wondered at. That's why if you come from a block like mine, you need to ask, What belongs to you, and what do you belong to? Eventually, my conscience and the string of bad choices collided. A young kid, no older than I was when I joined, was walking home and got caught in a spray of gunfire meant for someone older. He was in the wrong place. I remember the mother keening. It was an animal sound that came from somewhere beneath humanity. She looked at me like I had stolen her future with my hands. That look hit me harder than any sentence. I started to think about the long game. If I survived another 10 years, what would I have to show? A pile of regrets? A stack of unpaid consequences? You don't get to write off lives. You can't trade them for a lump sum or a better car. That's the fantasy the gang sells you. Instant respect, cash, or brotherhood. But the real return is court dates, prison visits, and an inability to ever be a normal father or husband.
So I stopped one day. Not nobly, not heroically. I just woke up and realized I was tired of the ledger balancing on the other side of my heart. I found a halfway program, a counselor who didn't flinch at my history. Therapy was weird at first. Guys in the program laughed and cried in the same hour. They told stories about how they put flags on their walls while their children slept alone. Leaving took work. You find a job, you show up every day, you pay your fines, you apply for housing and get told no. You take classes, you watch your back, you cut ties with people who might drag you back. Some of them don't forgive that choice. Some of them see it as betrayal. I lost friends that way. I lost enemies too, in a sense. The gang's reach was broad. It's not like they gave a farewell parade. Now I teach, not in a school with chalkboards. I go to community centers, the kids on blocks, and I tell my story. It's raw and ugly, and sometimes they look at me like I'm speaking another language. But sometimes a kid hears me and pauses. That's the point. If one kid decides not to take that first step, not to be jumped in at 14, not to pick up a gun because a friend tells him he'll be cool, then I've traded my silence for something useful. I won't romanticize the moment I turn my back. There are nights when the past is a storm and the present is fragile. I still flinch at the sound of a backfiring car. I still confess my sins to a mirror. The blood on my hands doesn't wash. But I get up in the morning and I try to be different. So here's my plea, plain and simple. If you're thinking about joining the Crips, know what that means. Know that the blue you see in a lowrider's flag is the same color that'll be stitched into your resume forever. Know that people will judge you. Know that mothers will pray for you and that you might not answer. Know that love will come with conditions or be absent entirely. Know that your kids will one day ask why you weren't home for their first game. You can write your future without a bandana. You can earn respect without a gun. It's harder, slower, and duller to the ego, but it keeps your hands free to hold the people who love you. That's the truth no one sells in a gang initiation. If you're listening and you're thinking, I should have done this sooner, maybe, but it's never too late to walk away. It's never too late to try. If you want change, leave the streets to those who cannot see beyond them. If you're a kid hearing this, trust me, the streets will teach you the cost before they teach you the lesson. Don't join because you want to be seen. Join because you want to be someone. That difference matters. If you made it this far, you might know somebody who needs to hear this. Share the video, subscribe. I'm Marcus, and I don't wear blue anymore, but I remember every day why I stopped.